This day, 819 Arukh HaShulchan. If you like to sponsor Commission more Arukh HaShulchan, please contact me directly. Very greatly appreciated. Today we're doing Simon Tuf Kufi Dal Sif Test to Sif Yud Test. No, Sif Test Vav. Um, yesterday we mentioned Beis Yosef says in Zion that if you have a wax candle and you want to light it out, but you don't want it to be completely burned down, you put something around it which is going to impede it from burning all the way down, so it'll get extinguished. But by the time when it gets to that level. And Arukh HaShulchan had difficult. Why do you have to put something around it before you light it? You put it around it after you light it. Gram kibu is mutter on the other. So he says here in Test, he goes in the with the opinion of the Rush, which he mentioned in Ches. The Rush is talking about um, the what the parameters of gram kibbutz, and the Rosh holds a gram kibbutz is also when you curtail a light of candle from burning to its full extent, and therefore now it's got a candle at the bottom, even though you're not doing anything to extinguish it at the moment, because it's over time it's going to burn less. So that's what the Beis Yosef holds, right? That's why you require that impediment to be there before you light the candle. Fresh Gamba Tur this how explains the Tur. The Achar Kach Havigram Kibui. And later on, it causes the extinguishing. Even though one can make the draw distinction. I feel Rosh Gram Kibui. It's only called Gram Kibui when you move it's only from the actual candle. Such as you cut the burning candle on the bottom. On the other hand, we take wax out of it. But where the impediment is an external substance, could go its view, which you put around it. It's not called gram kibui. Yesh b'sharmerkin. The Magen Avraham says that way. Lo sirlei bein of Beis Yosef, but Beis Yosef does not hold that way. It's not necessarily true. The Eidic gram kibui, because they both of them are called gram kibui. There's a little bit of a longer brackets here. V'zesh kasa rosham the eno mogea b'davar dolek. That you don't touch the thing which is burning. Ella osa davar chutz lo do something external to it. Hagorim es akibui, which will cause the extinguishing. Shetagir shamad leika when the fire reaches that point. Akal shono. V'tav salong Avram b'tav sof ki dosif kan vav v'kam nosachal ben shamaniya migufaner. They understood that the intention is to distinguish between when the impediment is in the candle itself, and when it's from something else around it. I'm astonished, says the Arukh HaShulchan. The Kavanasa Brura, the Rosh's intent is clear. Not because that distinction between something intrinsic to the candle and something extrinsic to the candle. Distinguishing between where the ground kibbutz is next to where the candle is burning, or when it's distant from where the candle is burning. Such as if you have empty vessels to impede a fire. And this is the opinion of the Beis Yosef, and it is clear. So it's not saying something immediately around the candle would still be a problem. Only something distant from the candle, like you have the empty vessels which you put far away from fire. The fire, when it get there, it's going to burst the vessels, and they're going to put out the fire. That would be okay. This is all according to the Rosh. According to Taisus, you're allowed to shorten the life of the candle. Those who allow you to cut wax candle with fire, means that not you cut it in half, but you blind on the bottom. They cut in order to shorten it. They sucking also, but my knife it's also to do. Meaning, right from the bottom. I'm not sure how, but it'll somehow divide in two. Maybe it means that there's a wick accessible in the middle or something. Automatically it's going to get smaller, but like bachos and stay a short amount of time. That's called not called ground kibui causing extinguishing. And he says kavachomer. They're allowed to put something around it, like Beis Yosef's scenario, but even after the fire is already lit. The halacha writes that even according to this opinion, machmir, not to stick the lit candle in a keli with water. If it's not a tzara gadol, I guess it's much more direct. Anyway, it says Oshun Zel Yikul Kavanos. This is what the Ramah primarily means. Like they sakin also by knife it. So as I'm sakin money, you're fixing the candle, but you're making a new candle. Elai dad logo bamtza. You can light in the middle. The issue is some say sham legal bamtza. When you light in the middle, tzara shishnei chatzayim bidoku. You have to light both ends, both new new ends. I must have bummed shraki schalku, but if you do it just so they'll burn apart, they're not going to continue to burn also. V'yesh matirim gam chagam, those who allow this as well. V'lodaim lashing is bar. It's not like that which we'll see later. The b'cholik ner shnayim. We divide a candle into two tzara. There's tzara chalik shnei chatzayim. You have to light both halves. The second neshek of asal lik both a keli. That's because you have a mind to light and therefore make a keli. But here was intended, it's just that it shouldn't burn a long time. And so you don't need that. Over mayim of a teeth. Sorry, you're allowed to put a burning candle in sand or in mud, amok deeply. Those will be extinguished when it gets to the sand or to the pitch, the mud. Because you're not diminishing its light. So according to Rush, it's also according to the place, it's the Ramah mutter. He says, maybe for the Rush it's mutter. This is a the way you light it, I guess. So this sand is serving as a candlestick. The Ramah is cool like the Ramah. The Shabbat says that as long as you're not doing a mice in the steps of the candle itself, you're allowed to put it in the sand or push it into loose dirt. But maybe doing something in the candle itself, such as to shorten it from below, you should be machmir like the mechaber, not to do. You have okasap. The mutar amin ner b'makom shel ruach sholi. You're allowed to put a candle in a place where it's windy. Shel ruach sholi po. Shel sholi. Shel kadei shel will get extinguished. Also, lamid osham mikvar ruach min hashev. You can't put there if the wind is already blowing. Just put it in a place where the wind will blow. The kom sheba ruach have a gram kibui. Before the wind comes, it's causing the extinguishing. Sheb'shas ma'isa ena maktin ra, because the time that the wind blows, you're not diminishing its light. Kokach so much. Our b'shas ruach. B'shas ruach is a kibui mamish. You put there when the wind is already blowing, so it's kibui mamish. Aidei ruach, but through the wind. B'shas ma'isa yishtanus. And also at the time you're doing it, there's a change in the candle itself. Also, the difference between yesh chashash lesel gamri fil kshein ruach cloud. Even when there is no wind, unless you put it out when there is wind. Like we find in such a there previously. The main halacha is not like that, not like the Magen Avraham wants to be but like the Ramah. We trade time for two reasons. But the Bir halacha says he passed like the Magen Avraham, not to put it there even when there's no wind. Or HaShulchan holds like the Ramah. You can put it there as long as there's no wind. Even on Shabbos you can theoretically put in a place where the wind is not blowing at the time. It says in brackets, now feeling in Shabbos Kenhu, even in Shabbos it would not, I guess means not the case. No. Shabbos, no. There's no saying okay. Well, now I feel in Shabbos Kehu that you shouldn't put it in that place. Yeah, you shouldn't put it where there's no wind, right? Because Rashi writes, in terms of having a distancing, to not come to a deraisa. Chazal is a chorus. Chazal were concerned that when it came to the chorus, a little bit of lav, but not when the prohibition is a lav. You cannot feel in Shabbos goes out to ruach. Even on Shabbos, they made a decree not to put in a place where there is no wind, lest there be wind later on. Come yonta this a lav. Nevertheless, yonta it's only a lav. Lo chashuv they weren't concerned. Brackets. He says the minhag shlolikach near the base and base aknes yonta. The minhag does not take a candle from the shul to his house yonta. But they kenu the apirove yeshruach. It's true because most of the time there's wind. Avabein ruach mutter bade mutter. There's no wind. It's definitely mutter. No, says Mishnah Berurah, because you should be machmir lechatchila, because guess it should be machmir because walking causes the candle to get extinguished because as you walk it creates a wind. Your base. Ner shekava b'rot aliko babayom. A candle which came extinguished, you want to light it that day. Mutach to rosh absil, you're allowed to cut the tip of the wick. Kadesha noachli, the lake in order to make it easy to light. Basic misan keli something for fixing a vessel. Came and she gone below it because aliko could lit it even without cutting the wick. It should be chituch tov yoser. Just by cutting it, it's easier. Become kon tov shel or better. Kol tov shlach tok b'sakin, but it's best not to cut with a knife, ela biyad with a shini with a hand. Because Rabbeinu says if you'd mutal asir apechem shosha next dolik. It says you can remove the charcoal, which is the top of the candle when it's burning. But you can't cut off the top of the wick with a vessel. Sharatin wants to say that the Magen Avraham holds it's possible it's only mutter to remove the charcoal if the charcoal removing is not going to get extinguished immediately, but just later down the line, and thus he doesn't have in his mind to be mechaber. So, okay. You clearly talk about the charcoal was on there at the moving at the time it's burning. So, but they're going back to some Arukh HaShulchan. So let's start again from the line before. Because Rabbi says if you're you can remove the charcoal, right? You can't cut the top of the wick. Bekeli with the best of pecham. You started with a coal, the same charcoal, same and ended with talking about the wick. You have to say this way it means to say. The bekli also if you pecham. With a tool, a vessel, you can't even remove the coal or the charcoal. You can't be precise with using a tool to only remove the charcoal. But and the tool also removes the top part of the wick, which is where combustion is occurring. So some say that this is the pshat. You're allowed to do charcoal also with a tool. There's a you can clean out, fix anything. Also, but the top of the wick is also if you'll be out, even with your hand. And they should dark also some keli, because you normally do it with a keli. You can't feel it beyond have a tikkun clean and never even use your hand. It's still tikkun keli. You're fixing the wick. That's something I have wrong. Rosh says it's a difficult explanation to sustain. It's also under pressure. The doesn't make sense. That's pretty strong. And the Taz evidently says the same thing. I guess he's calling the Taz. A few pairs, even according to Avraham says, but they, Dina Risha, in the first law, when there's a cover the candle got extinguished, Pshita to biyad, it's clear that when you cut it by hand, it's not a tikkun kli. The came and Shekfar Nitztanos, it got cold already, Harbei, to a large extent. The kol apechem and the coal has ceased functioning. Charcoal ceased functioning. Gam rosh absil nischazka. So the tip is of the wick is stronger. V'chol sadliko gam los, and you can light it even without taking off the charcoal. Mashkasavna. V'gam b'kli enot you can gomer. And even to use a tool is not considered to be real tikkun of the candle. And the mikom kam ein nachon ayde keli. Mashkasavna. Nevertheless, it's not appropriate to use a keli. Shabura says. That where the wick is getting burned up, I guess you're also allowed to use a tool, and those are machin and sif yud. Perhaps they'll also be machin here, but even to cut from the body of the wick is also. The brackets Magen says here, I Magen Masikon Yag Masikon Chav. The Tavin Le Peru the Perusikon Chav Lech Lechman Zelazeh. According to his commentary, you have to distinguish between the two. Between a wick and coal or charcoal. Second time, Yav, Efshel Kli also, that's why it says in Sifkan Yav, that made with the Kli, it's also by the charcoal. Yukim Akasor Gdalim, the great ones wrote, Teheter Asoras HaPecham, remove the charcoal, Psilo Shel Shemin, with a wick of an oil lamp. The Messina HaPecham, remove the charcoal. Vidayo, that's enough. I mean, but our candles of tallow, B'Shel Shavat of wax, also Limchot. You're not allowed to sharpen the end. Shakrin absnitzen. The Shlonim Absim mentioned as both because when you take the wick between your two fingers to make a needle-like on top. I mean, nothing also taking a part of the wick itself. Kosher they can certainly use a tool for that. They snotsiar sounds like the scissors. Also, it's forbidden. That's Tazan when you run back in the Yamsel Shlema. Voting for them, and it's going to get extinguished between your fingers. You don't make the wick more needle-like with your hands, because anything goes without saying, not with a tool. But to incline the wick a little bit, and that the ashes should fall off it, that's permissible mutter. So even allow you to make the wick more needle-like with your fingers. Um, um, and the Sharatzion says that is the Ikar Adin. In that case, if you take a little bit of the wick, it's a Darvish Eskav, something which you have in mind. The Gamakibu have a Darvish Eskav, and also extinguishes, not something you have in mind. Veins of secretion is not necessarily going to happen. So, Robert Short Nesagdola. Sharei Kamer was saying to feel Bekeli, and this should be mutter because some are Rabbani, Murmati, even with a Keli. Because of a Rash, when first say Rabbi is a Kodesh. Rash writes, Moklim Sapsila. You can make the wick needle like Ben Bekeli, whether with a hand, whether with a tool. And the Rambam, Matur also Bekeli, Rambam Matur for Beta Keli. Can be Yad mutter, but with your hand, everyone uses mutter. Of a minhag there, we show the minhag is like the first opinion, not to make a needle out of the burnt wick on Yontif. Mishmur says that in our countries, we're machmir, whether it's an oil candle, a wax, or a tallow candle, not to do any mechita, even with the charcoal, whether with the hand or the keli. There's no heter except to shake out the coal with his finger. I guess somehow Shem Chaber Yadayim with someone you're not directly extinguishing it. And it's also allowed to incline the wick with your finger in order that it should burn better. Okay, Yud Dalit. Ain Usimanera Agabi Ilam Erev Yontif. Can't put a candle on a tree from Erev Yontif. Because Yontif might take it off the tree, right? You'll be using the tree. You would say that taking off the tree is not called Mishtamish B'ilan. Without using the tree. So maybe we're going to climb up the tree if it's high enough to get it down. Mishabur writes that the main reason is the first reason. Okay, then you might just take it off. Okay, I'm not sure that's important for us. It's certainly usher on Yontif. I guess they're more likely to because it's less severe usher. The can pound in a pottery candle to make the hold whatever it's holding. That when it's still soft, like the eggs of clay of potter. To crush it with one's hand. To make a receptacle. It's making a keli. So to craftsmen who put straw into the airspace of the candle, he blew out phone so the wall should not fall. When it dries, they remove that straw. The usli lo b'yontif can't take up the straw on yontif. Because then you finish fixing it. So too, if you put two kalim together, you fuse them together when you made them. Can't separate the yontif. It's also completing them. If they were already separate and somehow for some reason they got joined together. Ain't a clue mutafi, and that's nothing you can separate them. Mishnah Berurah says, Mishnah gives a scenario, I guess, that they got that they were somehow glued together. Derech haroy. I'm not sure why that's important. Tesvav ain't choslim b'tzil l'shnayim. Can't cut the wick in two. Bialacha says that the Ram holds that with your hand it's permissible. It's not true about halacha. The Mishnah Berurah says this is also true about a wax or tallow candle. The Sharatzion says even if you don't need the wick anymore, so we cut it in two, and that's also true if it was too long and you want to shorten it. You can't do it either. Eli and Cain, how can you do it? Unless you put its two ends into two candles, malika b'emtza, to two barrels of oil, and you light it in the middle, two containers of oil, a light in the middle. And you need both. Assuming you need both lights. Otherwise, have a kimsakin kli. It's like fixing a vessel. Shmalikum learning like a tikkun. If you're lighting both, doesn't look like a tikkun. Now, you want more lighter heat. Fine, Masif Yud. Ve'ain golim es apsila. You can't twist the wick. By Bill says also both in hand and a tool, and even take a piece of cotton to stretch it, I guess, and to twirl it. It's also to make a wick out of it. Vein suscically, you also can undo a wick. Also, if you have like Avdol candle, a wax candle, which is woven, you can't remove that weave, which was this even you intend to do it for the purpose of for lighting. The go down, making the wick have a binyan is construction. It's so there, and undoing the wick is have a stairs binyan is destruction. Can't also have a steel. You also can't blacken the wick, preparing it to light even easier later on. That's what's fixing. But if the wick is not strong enough, I don't know why, you can crush it with your hand in order to toughen it up. You can soak it in oil. When there's no candle burning. I'm not sure the finishes. Oh, I see why. Next line. If the candle burning there, and by soaking an extra wick, they're going to diminishing its oil. And this is extinguishing the mechayot, so because you're going to diminish its light. So and if you don't diminish light, also das rosh kasam it's still also going to rosh. Adding something to make it go off quicker is a problem. Shabbos vade kuyam also chagavna. Shabbos is all also. Even you don't make the light any darker at all. It says back at something it's obvious that this is the case.